Sorry, there was a bit of a technical hiccup there, so we're delayed by just a couple of minutes. But thank you so much for tuning in. My name's John Mayers, and I'm the CEO of EmpireOne. So again, thank you so much for joining. Today we are going to talk about outsourcing explained. So we want to get you those $20 an hour tasks off your plate. So I really appreciate being here. And today's webinar, what we're going to give you is hopefully some clarity, some confidence, and a way to look at your business and run it completely different. So we are planning over the next 12 months and running a whole bunch. So can't believe 2026 is just around the corner. And next year we've got geared up a whole array of webinars, just again, lunch and learns, 30 minutes, around a whole bunch of different topics to get you geared up and hopefully give you some really amazing learnings throughout the year next year. So for those of you that don't know me, as I said, my name is John Mayers, CEO of EmpireOne, and I have spent the last sort of decade building, managing large, high-performing teams. So over the last 4 to 5 years, I've kind of expanded that into the offshore world. So I've personally managed hundreds of offshore staff across multiple different sort of jobs. So from marketing to sales to finance to property, accounting, you name it, I've probably recruited somebody offshore for that role. So, and I can tell you firsthand, so outsourcing is not about cheap labor. It's about smart leverage. So it's about buying back your time, expanding your capacity, and accessing talent that you simply can't afford to find locally. That's what it's all about. So today's webinar, what I'm going to do is break this all down for you. So we're going to talk through what outsourcing really is and what it isn't. We're going to sort of cover the biggest fears that business owners have, like quality, like communication, like trust, like culture, and all the truths behind it. We're also going to kill off some of those myths. Now, I've got a whole sort of slide here about some of the myths that people have about hiring offshore. I'm going to kill those off. And then I've got a simple step-by-step guide in a way to integrate basically offshore teams into your businesses. So it feels natural, so it's seamless, and you get productivity from day one, because that's key here. And then by the end of today, you'll see exactly how you can add new capacity to your business at a fraction of the cost of hiring locally. And now Empire Outsource makes the entire process dead simple. So let's sort of get into it. To start with, what I want to talk about right now is there's 6 big reasons as to why hiring in Australia and why hiring locally has become so hard. But first, I just want to talk you through a story. So we had this role a couple of years ago that was one of those roles that required huge amounts of attention to detail, a huge amount of taking ownership. And hello. I can see your comments as well. So if you do have any comments, just jump in throughout. But we had one of these roles that was very, very, very difficult to hire for. And this was basically the process. So it was very painful from the start. It took me months and months and months to find the role. We had tons of interviews, tons of shortlists, whole referencing process. We did a whole bunch of second rounds. We did one of those trial tasks as well. So we got them in to do a kind of review. And we finally found someone that looked perfect. Perfect on paper, perfect in the interview process. Then they went through hours of onboarding, hours on training, and you probably understand and get where this is going. 3 months in, they quit. Just wasn't a good fit. So hundreds of hours of productivity basically lost, right? And I suppose that sort of killed all of our momentum. The work piled up again, and then we had to start the entire process again from scratch. Has anybody been there? You can give me a shout in the comments. Has anybody been there where you've hired somebody, you've spent hours and hours of putting information in it, and then been there many times? Exactly, right? Lots of people I'm sure have. So we changed the model. What I thought is, okay, how can we do something differently? So we broke the role down, and we actually realized that 80% of that role could be done sort of overseas. It didn't have to be done locally. So we replaced it with a highly skilled offshore person. We got better consistency. We got better ROI. We got better output. And they stayed with us, and they're still actually with us today. So this is from 3 years ago. And I suppose that was the moment that I sort of stopped and thought, okay, outsourcing is not an option for business anymore. It actually needs to be treated as part of your business strategy. So I know we're coming up to the end of the year now. And a lot of people are thinking, what are we going to do in 2026 in our business? this needs to be part of your business strategy for 2026. How do you, I suppose, for your entire recruitment process, add in outsourcing in there as well? So ask yourself this: is there roles currently in your business that you can break down? Is there roles that you could break up parts that actually could be done fully remote? Now, I know COVID happened and lots of people started working from home, but I'm sure there's plenty of roles that you're hired for locally that actually a lot of their role could be split up and taken offshore. So what I want to do now is just break down the 6 reasons why hiring locally in Australia is breaking small businesses. So number 1, we've got, it's just never been more expensive. So it's never been more expensive to hire locally. When you add on things like superannuation, now at 12%, work cover, payroll tax, annual leave and sick leave, laptops that you have to buy, and software, and phones, and training, and management, and then if you've got seats in like a WeWork, office space, your overheads have gone from, a $65,000, $70,000 staff member, that actually ends up costing you $85,000, $90,000. So it's just not feasible anymore for admin-based tasks. Number 2, finding the right person has just become harder. So let's be perfectly honest here, the talent pool is shrinking. It honestly is. And business owners keep telling, as I said, I speak to business owners almost every single day. And we've now got 1,500 members in EmpireOne. So almost every day I'm speaking to business owners. And they're all telling me the same thing. They're getting fewer applications, not as good quality. They're getting higher salary expectations. They've got lots of no-shows. They've got more people job hopping. There's less loyalty they find. And a typical scenario, this is probably applies to a lot of people. You post something on Seek, they charge you $600 for the privilege, and then you get 7, 8, 9, 10 applications, a few of them completely ghost you, and then you get a couple people, and then what ends up happening, you find one that you want, they want more money than what you're offering, they want flexible hours and working from home 100% of time, and then they want perks that you can't compete with because they've worked for some humongous company where you get all these additional perks. Number 3. Staff turnover is at an all-time high. So the average employee now in Australia stays anywhere from about 18 to 30 months. So that's 1.5 years to 2.5 years. That means that you're constantly in a rehiring, retraining, re-onboarding. You're rebuilding the IP that's left your business and the knowledge with that person. You have to keep on building momentum. Every departure costs you in lost productivity and possibly maybe even lost clients. And there's big replacement costs that come with that. So if you're using a recruiter, as I said, you're spending $600 just to get that ad back on Seek. So for small teams, this turnover kills more than morale. It actually kills progress for you. Number 4 here. So we've got admin and low value tasks are crippling growth. So let's be honest. This is 100% a silent killer for small businesses. 30 to 50% of business owners' time, believe it or not, every week is doing tasks worth $20 an hour. Is that you? Pop in the comments. Is that you? Are you spending your time doing $20 an hour? Things like, let's do a big list here. Things like inbox management, calendar management, chasing invoices. What about reporting? Maybe some customer service responses, data entry, maybe your CRM and updating sort of some workflows inside there, your social media posts, researching. What about writing your SOPs? Spend hours and hours doing that. So these are all $20 an hour tasks. But as founders, you are spending your time doing it, which is costing you $200 an hour. So your time has been swallowed by all of these low value tasks that could be outsourced. And businesses aren't failing, I think, at the moment because of basically bad strategy. It's because they're doing too much admin work and they don't have enough capacity. So let's jump on to number 5 here. So 5 is opportunity cost is enormous. So because you're tied up in hiring issues, admin overload, you delay lots of the important things in your business, like launching new products. You get burned out quicker. You lose revenue opportunities because you're delayed in these little small tasks, and then you struggle to scale. So every week you're trying to push through, and it's actually just costing you real money. And number 6, hiring locally now is a luxury, not the default. And I suppose for most roles, especially repetitive, process-driven, or support roles, hiring locally just isn't the smartest option anymore. It's just not. Small to medium-sized business, what do you need? You need reliability. you need consistency, you need lower overheads, you need high output, you need a scalable structure that scales with you, and a way to compete with some of the bigger players. So some of the bigger businesses, you need a way to compete with them. And that's exactly, I suppose, why offshoring has exploded in Australia right now. And it's not a hack, it's actually become a necessary part to your business strategy. So I suppose on that's the 6 different factors. What do they cost you? It's cost, it's time, it's talent shortages, it's turnover, it's admin overload. Just the old way of hiring does not work anymore. And I suppose that's why outsourcing has become one of the fastest, most secure ways for business owners to get capacity back. And what I want to do now is just break down some of the myths and the fears that people have with those. So what are some of the fears? So outsourcing and the way I suppose we look at it versus local hiring, I suppose what we want to talk about is what actually is it? So what is outsourcing? And most people hear outsourcing, they immediately think, does this mean I just fire my entire workforce and employ everybody overseas? Absolutely not. This is not what it is. Outsourcing isn't about replacing, it's about supporting your team, right? So it's about boosting your capacity without blowing out your payroll. That is 100% what it's all about. So it's taking those tasks that slow your growth and putting them in the hands of someone who can do it faster, cheaper, more consistently, and with basically zero drama, right? So then that frees you and your local team to focus on high value work. So what does it look like today in outsourcing world? So this isn't 2004. I suppose back then it was more freelancing, it was a gig platform, and I suppose remote work was one person overseas juggling 5 different clients. That's not what outsourcing is like today. Outsourcing today is you're hiring a full-time person, highly skilled, managed offshore talent that is exclusively for you and your business. So they use your tools, they jump into your workflows, they're in your time zone. And I suppose because of all the new technology now as well, like Zoom, Slack, Teams, all the different CRMs, they're all web-based. That offshore team member is actually connected, and I suppose even more connected than maybe someone sitting outside in your office. So you're not hiring a freelancer, you're actually hiring a staff member that's just based in a different location. So I suppose here's the reality is that biggest companies in the world are outsourcing, and you just haven't noticed some of them. So Netflix, NAB, Uber, Nike, I've just put a few up here. All of these companies outsource. Now, I've put NAB up here. My wife actually works for NAB, so she's one of the senior consultants there. Believe it or not, in the last 2 years, in the 2 teams that she's worked for, they actually have a hiring freeze on anybody in Australia. So anybody leaves NAB, they actually hire overseas. That's their new policy at the moment. And again, that's because they're leveraging it to cut payroll costs. So a lot of businesses are doing this. So I suppose the main reason small businesses can now do this, though, is through technology. So what used to be once, large businesses going and actually setting up full offices overseas, that's not the case anymore. With technology now, and as I said, with Teams and Zoom and everything being able to be accessed online, anybody, even if you're a solo entrepreneur, can actually access a VA to help them in their business. So what outsourcing actually solves? What does it solve? So let me break down some real value in what it solves. Admin disappearing. Your inbox stops owning your life. I'm sure there's lots of you where your inbox, no matter what you do, there's 1,000 emails every single minute popping in. Your CRM is always updated. How amazing would that be if your CRM, you log on and everything is up to date at all times? You get reporting done without you touching anything. So imagine you just got reports delivered to your inbox every single day and how your business is doing, financial, sales, all the reporting delivered straight to you. Leads get followed up instantly. Time to lead is critical for any business. So how quickly someone contacts them versus how quickly it lands in your inbox. Marketing actually gets implemented. So lots of people have amazing marketing plans. I've seen some incredible ones. Then I ask, how are you going with implementing it? Oh, I've sent 1 email. Fantastic. So again, marketing is implemented. You want to market your business? You need to send lots of emails. And this one I really like, and I always use this. You need to stop being the chief of everything officer. You cannot do it all by yourself. So this is not about labor costs, as I said. It's about capacity, consistency, and freeing up your time. So imagine this. Let me paint you a quick picture here. You hire a full-time marketing assistant in the Philippines. It costs you around $2,500 a month. That's roughly $30K a year. You train them once. They help you write the SOPs for them. And then they run all of your marketing. They update your CRM. They post all your social content. They build reports for you. They send out all your proposals. They take care of all the tasks that are currently eating your time. So suddenly you've just gained back 30 hours a week, every single week. What could that do for you? What is 30 hours, I suppose, a week worth to you? Is it, 30 hours a week more in your business, for your family, for your health, for your revenue, maybe for your stress levels? Or is it maybe the ability to actually lead like a CEO and take back control of your business? So how could this change your world? So for me, first time I always looked at my calendar and said, wow, I can actually get back into the business and I'm not drowning in it anymore. Because once you start to remove all those $20 an hour tasks, your brain can switch from, okay, I'm trying to survive, to growth mode. And 2026, that's what we want for you. We want growth mode. So outsourcing has created this space that you can actually focus on strategy and actually focus on growing your business. So this is what I like to say is outsourcing is not less, it's actually more. So here's where I think people get it wrong. Outsourcing is not about doing things cheaper, it's about doing things better. So you've got better consistency in your business, you've got better follow-up in your business, you've got better attention to detail, you've got better accountability, you've got better outputs, and you've got better processes. So for most businesses, this would be the first time I think that a lot of people have had actually reliable support in their business. So it's not about cheating, it's about competing. So we're no longer in a world anymore where your competition is just your business next door, your business across the street, because you're competing actually with companies that operate globally. You're competing with people that never switch off, that are running 24 hours a day. You're competing with companies at lower cost. You're competing with companies at higher output. So how are you going to compare to all of those things? And companies who decide to do everything themselves, they're going to be the ones that are left behind and the ones that are losing. So outsourcing actually levels that playing field for people. So it gives, I suppose, SMEs a firepower that used to only be reserved for really large businesses. So let's cover some of the fears. And I know what you're probably thinking. You're already thinking, okay, John, this sounds amazing, but what about communication? What about the quality? What about the culture? How am I going to, put these people into my business? How am I going to actually trust somebody overseas? Yep, I get it. Fears are real, and I get that most businesses already have them. So let's cover all of the big fears in the rest of you now. So let's start with fear number one. And I want to break them all down for you. So I've got them all here on the screen. So number one is the quality will not be as good as someone in Australia, right? That's probably the number one fear, I reckon. The quality just will not be as good. Now, here's the actual truth. In the Philippines, they've got some of the highest skilled, most hardest working professionals you'll ever meet. And that's honestly from personal experience as well. We're talking degree qualified, admins, bookkeepers, marketing assistants, engineers, designers, SOP designers, drafts people, technical specialists. There are people who are more experienced, more trained, and have got better communication skills than probably a lot of people that you're finding on Seek. So the quality does not drop offshore, it's just the cost does. Fear number two, time zones will be a problem. Wrong. Time zones are not a problem at all. So if you're in all of Australia or New Zealand, time zones do not matter. They work whatever times you operate. So if you work from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, they can do those hours around that. They work when you work. So it's just like having someone next door in your office, just without the $80,000 salary attached to them. Fear number three, they do not understand Aussie or New Zealand culture. Sorry, will they understand Aussie and New Zealand culture? Yes, 100% they understand. English is actually, believe it or not, the primary language used in universities, in schools, in governments, and businesses in the Philippines. So they totally get Aussie culture, they get our humor, they get our slang. I know you're probably all thinking this is coming from someone from Scotland. I have been here 11 years, I get Aussie culture too. And they get the, no worries, mate, but they're still very professional. So they totally get our culture and understand it. So number 4 is my data safe? Now, obviously, this is huge right now because there's been so many different businesses across Australia I know that have had data breaches and hacks. So let me be clear about this. With Empire Outsourced, so for what we do, we operate one of the highest security levels. So we're ISO 27701 certified, which means that every single SOP we've got has to be registered with them, and we've got a whole SOP around that. We've got company managed laptops. They've got end-to-end Microsoft encryption. They can remote, basically wipe drives and lock computers at any time. They've got strict NDAs, and there's zero data stored on anything local. So to be honest, the level of data and security that is now run through offshore staff members tends to be way better than what actually Australian businesses have in their current business. So it is the highest level of protection. Now, a lot of these roles that we've actually even hired for are in very regulated industries like finance, where they've got huge legislation on what happens to people's data because they're handling people's passports, banking information, all of those type of things. So the data is so safe. It's actually, as I said, safer than most people's businesses at the moment. Number 5, what about if they don't show up or slack off? So this is a great question. Every single staff member we uses Time Doctor, which gives you random screenshots, time tracking, productivity metrics on a daily basis, and we've got a success manager that monitors daily activity and performance. So it's probably way more higher visible than possibly the person sitting in your office next door to you, right? So you will get a report every single day on what happens. Joey, I'll come back to you in 2 minutes, all right? So fear number 6, long term. I don't want turnover. Guess what? Retention offshore with VAs is way higher than retention in Australia. As I said earlier, it's averaging about 18 to 30 months. VAs tend to be about 3 years to 5 years. So they almost 2 times higher than Australian retention. And why? Because they value stability. They value long-term employment. They like working for Australian businesses. And they like working with loyal businesses that look after them, and they're not job hoppers. So that means you get stability, plus your IP gets protected. Fear number 5, training someone overseas will be too hard. So again, you train someone just like you would train someone here. Everybody went through COVID. Everybody was training people and hiring people throughout COVID, and you did it online. With things like Zoom and Loom videos now, your SOPs, again, part of your SOPs, I would be getting this person to write some of them and create them for themselves as well. Slack, Teams, all these different things, shared drives, use Google Drive or use the Microsoft SharePoint suite. All these different tools and processes make it incredibly easy to train your offshore team. They also, because they're so used to digital, that they learn very fast through digital. So it's not a struggle anymore to train someone overseas. Plus, you've got a success manager there supporting you throughout the entire onboarding process as well. So fear number 8, which a lot of you have, is they won't fit in with my team. So again, they will use all of your systems, all of your processes. So if you run Teams, if you run Google, if you run HubSpot or Asana or whatever CRM you're using, they will join all of your daily huddles, your daily stand-ups, your team meetings, and collaborate just like any other employee would in your business. It's just they're working remote. So most clients say, within a couple weeks, it feels like they're just 100% part of the team, and that's exactly how it should feel. Now, what about if I hire the wrong person? Now, this is obviously a fear of people as well. What if I hire someone wrong? We've got a 0 risk guarantee. So if someone's not the right fit, we just replace them, no cost, super quick. Try doing that with the local hire, replacing them within 2 weeks. As we just went through right at the start, my experience in hiring locally, 2-3 months before you find the right fit, someone has to give notice. Much more difficult process. And fear number 10 is I've tried freelancers before and it was just a nightmare. So freelancers, let's get this very straight. Freelancers and offshore are not the same thing. They're 2 very different things. Freelancers work with multiple clients. There's no accountability. They've got no structure. The HR's hit or miss. They are hit or miss. Whereas full-time offshore, it is full-time exclusively for you and your business. They work for you. They're not job hopping, they're not sharing, they work exclusively for you. They've got structured hours that work to your hours. There's full-time HR support, they've got background checks, they've got career stability, they've got success manager oversight, and they've got enterprise-level IT. And again, this isn't freelancing, this is proper employment just on offshore. So the truth is, offshore done properly is safer, higher quality, more sustainable, more secure, and more reliable in my experience than hiring locally. And I suppose that's why businesses across Australia have been moving towards hiring global hybrid teams. And I suppose that's why EmpireOne exists. So I'll talk you through here just a step-by-step on hiring, onboarding, managing a VA. I'll come back to all your questions in a couple minutes. Yeah, we can do that right at the end. So what is a step-by-step? So number one, you hop on a discovery call with us. We want to know and learn about your business, your pain points, what tasks are eating your time. Role brief. So we need to understand in your business, what is your description? What are you looking for? What are the skills that they need to have? What are your working hours? Then we do a quick shortlist, and I'm going to take you through this in detail in a minute, generally within 2 weeks, we'll find you a whole bunch of five different people, find you a whole bunch of different people that suit your job role. Then you get to interview them. We interview over Zoom. You choose the best fit, and then we handle everything else from contracts to IT setup to payroll. Then onboard and support. So the VA starts, stays in the background. We stay in the background for support, HR questions, and performance check-ins, and you take over from there. So it's simple and very scalable. So again, full-time staff member for VAs starts around $2,200 per month plus GST. There's no super, no insurance, no admin costs, and you can cancel within 30 days notice if you need to. It is honestly the definition of simple scaling for your business. So it is, with Empire Outsourced, it is the simplest, most safest, reliable way to hire offshore for your business. And as I said, it's not a VA marketplace. It's not a freelance platform. It is a genuinely outsourcing agency that hires 100% for your business. So it's fully managed, premium offshore staffing, service especially designed for Australian SME businesses. That's what we've designed it for. To make sure that you're getting quality, long-term, and a great ROI. So here's a few reasons why we're a little bit different. So every single Empire Outsourced team member, full-time employment, as I said, they are hired exclusively for your business. So we don't touch freelancers, we don't do part-time, we don't do any shared resource, because the reality is that none of those things tend to ever work, because that person is not focused on you and your business and the outcomes that you want. So it's full-time only, and that brings reliability, consistency, and long-term relationships with you and your employee. Number two, so we have a absolutely incredible recruitment process that we go through. So every single person that we recruit, this is the full process they go through. So we do resume screening, background matches based on the criteria you've given us. We then go through an interview process with them. So we work out what's their communication like, what's the professionalism like, what's their tone. We then do reference checks. So this is before you've even met them. We then do a 45-minute skills and aptitude test on them. So you'll get the full report of that as well. We then do a second round of video interviews, which is a cultural fit, values alignment, making sure they're aligned with the values of your business, your brand. And only then would we select 4 or 5 people to actually meet with you, and we're actually accompanying you on the interview calls as well. So you're typically, as I said, presented with 4 or 5 different people, fully vetted, fully qualified before that point, within generally a 2-week period. This is world-class recruitment. Most businesses in Australia do not go through this level and detail of recruitment. So then, what we hire for. So I just want to go through a list of a couple things that we can help you with. So it's not just admin staff. It's not just someone to punch a few numbers. We do anything that you can do remotely, we can hire for, and we have hired for. So anywhere from admin ops, marketing assistants, CRM automation experts, social media content. I've got a huge list here. Bookkeepers and accountants, property management support, customer service and bookings, IT support. We've got sales coordination we've hired for. We've hired for CRM techs as well. Estimators. And we've got some weird jobs that we've even hired for with solar designers. They couldn't find anybody. We've hired for some solar designers. We've got engineers, full stack developers for building software on apps and back-end platforms. Literally, if the job is done on a computer, we can fill it. There isn't a job that we've not been able to fill. And then we talked about data security and stuff earlier as well. So it is an enterprise level grade environment without the enterprise level price tag on it for data security. So as I said, it's all company managed laptops, and we provide them for the VAs. They've got end-to-end encryption. As I said, they all sign NDA agreements. They're ISO 2001 certified, so that's a framework that we operate under. And as I said, there's no data stored locally, so there's no issues with data compromisation. And as I said, it's one of the highest standards of outsourcing in Australia. With, as I said, we've got VAs with finance companies that have got huge requirements in terms of keeping data safe. And then we also add in a dedicated success manager as well. So you don't just get a staff member with us, you actually get a success manager who's there to make sure that everything runs smoothly from day one. So they do daily attendance, they do productivity with Time Doctor, they do fortnightly check-ins with your VA, they do monthly performance reviews with the VA, they do 365 feedbacks, they do staff morale and recognition, and they meet with you monthly as well to make sure that everything is going in. So again, they're there to support you. So you don't just get a VA and get left to your own devices. You actually get a support manager there to make sure that everything is working. And if there's any issues, you can actually contact them all the time. So you're not left to your own devices. So again, it's just there to support. And then Empire Outsourced, we give you full visibility of a team member. So there's no hidden fees, no surprises. They randomly, I said with Time Doctor, we take screenshots of their screen throughout the entire day. There's lists of all the timelines and the tasks they've completed throughout the day. It is honestly better than someone sitting at the desk across from you. Do you know what all your team members are doing every single day throughout the day? Are they giving you a rundown of all the tasks they've completed? I would hazard a guess not. This is what you get now when you outsource some of those roles. So Empire Outsource is structured in a way to give SMEs the best possible return. So local admin, fully loaded, you're probably talking at the moment 75 to 80K. I promise I will come back to your questions right at the end. And at the moment, as I said, a full-time team member over in the Philippines, they start about $2,200 a month plus GST. That's often for a lot of roles anywhere from a 60 to 70% cost reduction with higher output. So because your VA take repetitive work, it means your local team and your local staff, well, as I said right at the start, we're not wanting to replace your team. That is not what hiring a VA is all about. We're not wanting to replace your local team. What we're wanting to do is they can actually then focus on client relationships, strategy, delivery, and the growth of your business. That's what you want. So this essentially will then double dip your ROI, right? It will double dip because you save money, plus you're making more money because your team will be able to focus on the things that matter. And as I said at the start, if your VA isn't the right fit, we replace them at no additional cost. So it's basically a replacement guarantee with zero risk for you. So there's no awkward conversations, no financial loss, there's no downtime. We simply just restart the recruitment process, and in 2 weeks, you'll have a whole bunch of new candidates ready for you. So this is really built for you to scale. So already, quite a few customers, us in the Santoni group, we've got 40 plus VAs across a whole variety of different roles. A lot of them have been with us for 3, 4, 5 years plus. So I can testily say, their longevity is there, and they are incredible. They are part of our business. They're part of everything we do. So as I said, with Empire, a lot of people will start with just one. So, they start with one VA, and then we're there as you scale. So as you need more team members, as your business in 2026 is skyrocketing, you need that 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th VA, we're there to help. And people are starting to create entire offshore teams with us. So they're getting an admin pod, a marketing pod, they're doing a whole bookkeeping team. So as you scale, it is the easiest way for your business to scale, is by hiring additional VAs to help you. So, as I said, outsourcing isn't just the safest way, most structured. It's the most transparent, and it gives you the best ROI for any global team. So, just in summary, we've got full-time staff members, we've got the premium recruitment process, We've got secured systems. We've got the success manager there to help you the entire way. We've got transparent pricing. We've got specialty roles, so we can fill really any role that's done from behind a computer, we can fill. We've got very fast turnaround, and we've got real ROI in getting your money back. So a couple of case studies here for you as well. And a few of these people have started in the last month or so. Some of them are getting 60% savings across hiring locally. So real estate's a great one. We've got quite a few people with real estate. Their pain point was admin overload, which probably a lot of people are experiencing. Admin overload, falling behind on tenants' requests, PMs burnt out. So their property managers burnt out. Solution, we got them a virtual property management assistant. So what did that turn out to be? So 30 plus hours a week freed of PM's local time. They had more time to spend on other things that actually mattered with client facing, doing open for inspections. So they actually increased all the lease renewals. They got less complaints. They saved $40,000 a year on versus hiring locally, and they got better client satisfaction, which I'm sure all of you want. That's a key. Another one here. So construction company. So estimators and AutoCAD team, they actually could not find somebody local to even do this job. They could not find somebody. So we managed to get some offshore estimators, AutoCAD's draft people, and as a result, their drafting time reduced by 40%, which is absolutely massive. So then they had more accurate estimates, their projects delivered faster, they saved $35,000 in annual savings for what they were advertising in Australia, and that actually gave them ability to actually pitch on more jobs. So it actually increased their productivity. Another one here, so we've got accounting practice, bookkeepers and admin. Their problem is that over the BAS periods, their staff were just overloaded and overworked. So we got a full-time bookkeeping and VA admin to help. So we actually got two. And what that happened was they got reliable weekly lodgement support. So they got reliable support every single week. There was no more missed deadlines, completely eliminated. And the local team were able to focus on advisory work, which they actually charged more for. 60% lower cost than hiring a junior accountant, which is obviously a humongous saving, especially when it's a small business. Another one here, so e-commerce retail. So customer response times and order management was lagging. So hired two VAs again, a customer supports VA plus an operations VA. Their response times were cut by 60%. So imagine that in your business, that you could cut your customer response times by 60%. That's just humongous. And the order fulfillment accuracy had improved, so the accuracy of orders were nice and neat. The capacity to scale without hiring local as well, so they could scale up and scale down. And then their support now runs for 7 days. And remember how I was saying earlier on, that now you're not just competing, with the business down the street, the business across the road. You're actually competing with international companies that work 24 hours a day. So that's your competition. So here's the bottom line. If you're ready to hire and you're sick of hiring locally and you're ready to take your business in 2026 to the next level, outsourcing, I'm here to tell you today, is not a risky move anymore. I've talked you through all the pain points in people and kind of hopefully busted all those myths for you. It is now a smart move for business owners. So at Empire Outsource, we've made it super, super simple, fully supported, and you don't have to figure it out alone. So next step is super, super simple. All you need to do, if you want to chat to us, and we'll QR code here, that will book you in with a meeting does directly, and will help you sort of identify what jobs you may need for outsourcing, and we'll help you find, is there tasks that are taking up your time, and then we can get you a meeting to talk through building out a job description for what you're looking for a VA. So again, 2026, massive year. What's your business strategy for recruitment? And if it's not part of VAs, I think it has to be. Because as I've sort of discussed through this whole webinar, is that the reality is that if you're not using this as a strategy, you will get left behind because hiring locally has become so difficult and so hard. So I hope this webinar sort of helped clarify some of those things for you. We don't want you to be the chief of everything officer. We want you to find time back in your business so you can be the CEO that you're supposed to be and focus on the strategy and focus on actually growing your business rather than working on it. And as I said right at the very start, we do not want you to be doing those $20 an hour tasks. That is exactly why VAs were built, and this is what Empire Outsourced is all about. Thank you so much, and we hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you soon.